Welcome back, book nerds, to today's episode of the podcast. I will be speaking with LEENA PENDHARKAR, writer and director of the short film Awaken, which is being showcased at the 2020 HollyShorts Film Festival. Awaken is a short film about Rakhi Singh, who has recently put her mom into a care center after exploring other options for her Alzheimer's disease. Rakhi's mom isn't taking well to it, and still has long spells of crying and bouts of confusion. Rakhi brings her mom home in hopes of comforting her, helping her reset, and to find her way, only to learn that it's not only unhelpful, but also breaking her family apart. Rakhi is at a loss as to what to do, but when her mother disappears, she finds her lost in a moment from the past, paving the way for a solution. It's not an easy one, but it's something. Without any further delay, let's jump into the podcast. Hi there, book nerds. Welcome to today's episode of the podcast. Joining us today, we have LEENA PENDHARKAR, the writer and director of Awaken. Thank you so much for joining me today, LEENA.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Now, I know I already said you're the writer and director, but can you tell us a little bit about the film?
Yeah, Awaken is a short film about a daughter trying to help her mother through Alzheimer's, and in a moment that's where all seems lost, they have a moment of awakening.
Yeah, I got to watch the film and I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was a story that, needs to be told. And, films are made about Alzheimer's, and I don't know. This one, I think because it was a short film, it really spoke to me, where it's just like, that little time, it makes a huge impact on someone's life. And you have to create these decisions like on the whim, because you can't really plan out how it is.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. It's kind of a quiet film, but yeah, I'm glad you got that from it.
Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the film for you?
Yeah, my mother-in-law actually has Alzheimer's, and it's a hard disease. It's a hard disease to watch someone go through, to forget their life, their memories, and often the short-term memories are the ones that go the quickest. Like I will see my mother-in-law just randomly tell a story about something very long time ago, but she can't remember what's happening in the moment, and so the inspiration of the story was not necessarily true to life, but it's this idea of caregiving and juggling so much and feeling like you've lost your support system in the moment. So that's really where the idea kind of came from.
Yeah, I love that. What's your favorite part of the film?
I love V and Parminder's performances in the film, and I thought that ocean sequence could come out really clunky, and but I wanted it to be very subtle and impactful, and I thought they both did a really beautiful job of getting that performance to have subtlety and nuance to it, but also being impactful.
Yeah, your cast was really great. I really loved all of their performances. They did an amazing job.
Thank you. Yeah, Seamus Dever, who plays the husband, Bobby Sadegani, who plays the son. He's lovely. It was, wonderful cast.
And what's it like writing and directing a film for you specifically? Because I know everyone has like their own things, but what's that process like for you?
Often when I write things, I do kind of have a vision for what I want them to be and what I want them to look like and feel like. And with this one, it was very much something that I kind of thought about, and then I felt very strongly about the way that I wanted it to be. So I think the characters and I really wanted it to make something from a very South Asian perspective, because I don't think we know we don't see those stories enough. So for me on the page, it was very much like I even adjusted things. The two go so hand in hand. Like I started scouting locations, and I ended up changing some of the script because I felt like the locations weren't quite working.
Oh, okay. Yeah, would you say that's one of the benefits of directing and writing, that you're able to kind of just like tweak stuff as you go?
Yeah, it's a huge benefit. Like even just making a lookbook, like I'm a very visual person, so I like to go out and make a lookbook and think about the sequences and the color palette and all of those things as I go out and I take pictures and I think about how it's going to come together. It really informs the writing. Yeah, it really does inform the writing. So yeah, it's a very powerful part of the process.
Do you prefer writing or directing, or do you just love both equally?
I really love both. I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but you know, I love directing because it's social and it's like taking something that's really abstract and bringing it into the real. But then I can really enjoy writing and the abstract ideas too. So I love both.
Yeah, I mean that's valid. I yeah, there's just so much you can do in the industry, and it's just like it's better to dip your toes into everything than just, stick with one thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, filmmaking in and of itself, brings together so many creative aspects, you know, from production design to photography to sound and music. And I had really an extraordinary team on this short film. So it was a lovely experience.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience since you were, I mean, from pre-production to post-production, you were involved in all of it?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote the script and I had a producer that was really lovely, this woman named Rena Dutt, who came on board, and she's fantastic and really helped bring in the cast. You know, she has done a lot of acting and has a great eye for casting. So Parminder, you know, is a pretty amazing actress, and a lot of people know her and know her name. So we reached out and we're really lucky that had a gap in her schedule and was willing to do a piece like this. So we we cast her, and that was wonderful. Rena and I had been scouting some locations, and I had this like vision for a care center that was really high tech and all this stuff, nursing home. But then I realized that wasn't quite the right vibe for the story. So I kind of adjusted that. And then I brought on a DP named David Sani, who I work with a lot, a photographer, and we knew, he knows some of the stylistic things that I like. Like I've really like shallow focus lenses, and we used these anamorphic lenses this time that were really beautiful. We scouted the ocean and the buildings, and in the post, again, I had some amazing people that I got to work with. And Parminder and V, we rehearsed and we met and we talked about the story and really went deep with it. And then in the post, I worked with a television editor named Eileen Dickler, who's lovely, and Rashi Kulkarni scored, and she, she's an incredible composer. She works for television and does a lot of CW shows. So she was fast and able to really take notes very clearly. So yeah, it came together. I felt really lucky to work with all the people in the film.
Love that. Which part of the process would you say is your favorite? Would you prefer post-production, production, or pre-production?
Again, I kind of just love the whole process. I mean, being on set is wonderful, but by the time you're finished with being on set or done, you're like ready to be on to the next phase, and then post can go a little bit slowly, but post can just often be really stressful because you have to commit to making decisions, and really kind of before you start sound, you have to commit to locking the picture. And sometimes that can be a very daunting task. You wonder, did I choose the right take? Did I not choose the right take? So sometimes post can be very stressful because of the big commitment that you've got to make to everything. But it's, I enjoy it, the whole process.
No, definitely. And you mentioned sound, and how was it difficult to film on the beach? How did you feel about getting all the waves in the background? And
yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, right before making Awaken, I traveled all over with a feature, an indie feature, like a 90-minute movie called 20 Weeks. And we had some scenes on the ocean, and I had shot a lot of different things and had lots of ups and downs with the sound. So to be honest, the key to making Awaken is that I brought on a sound person who was very experienced, like, who knew what he was doing and really knew how to get the right gear and do it right. and not interrupt the performances, and was just such a pro. So I think that I was conscious of all that, but I really didn't have to worry about it because my team was just so good. So
Yeah, better to have someone you can trust than to be like, oh no, it's not working.
yeah, no.
And stress about it in post.
Yeah.
What's your favorite aspect about short films? Because you've worked on features, but since short films, you get this little bit of time to tell a whole story. What's your favorite aspect about them?
That's such a good question. I mean, I think a short film, like a short story, is a medium of its own. I think there's skills and craft to a short film, constructing this kind of, a lot of times, I actually teach filmmaking at Loyola Marymount, and I'm teaching a short filmmaking class, screenwriting class this semester. And I always try to tell the students, it's not a feature crammed into 10 minutes. That's not the goal of the short. The goal of a short is kind of its own contained story, right? And so it's like often exploring a moment in time. And what I love about it is just, making a feature is a really big commitment. It's like a 2-3 year commitment often. Making a short is a year commitment, right? I mean, you can really write something and make it in a year if you'd like to go that fast, or you can probably even go faster. But what I love about it is you get the opportunity to experiment, to push boundaries, to try things out that you wouldn't normally try out, right? Like I tried on this short film a much more high-end look than I normally go for. Like I went for these expensive lenses. I went for like much more kind of dolly clean. I do a lot of handheld and kind of intimate performances in my other work, but I was like, okay, this is 3 days. I got a grant to make this, so I can figure out a way to afford the lenses that would just be difficult on a feature. So there's that. And then I also, because it's a less commitment, like Parminder's a pretty big deal, television actress, and she's in many things and movies. So for her to commit to 3 days is a lot less stressful than a month, right? So also sometimes if you can get interesting cast, it's a great opportunity. So yeah, I love making short films. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you mentioned you're a professor as well. How do you balance making your own projects on your own time and teaching us?
It's never easy. I did this one in a semester where I actually had the semester away from teaching. So, you just kind of juggle it with times off in the summer and the winter, and you just kind of juggle it, but it's the thing that keeps me going. And I think that as a teacher, the best thing that I have to offer is all of my practical experience, of filmmaking. So I always try to make something, and I do some industry stuff too. Like I was directing a Lifetime movie when COVID hit. So, it's like,
What was that like when going into filming once this whole thing started? Because I'm a film student as well. I got
cool.
rejected from Loyola.
Oh,
I'm at Cal State LA though.
Where do you go?
I'm at Cal State LA.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we're trying to figure out, how to create films during COVID, and it's just this whole new world. How are you feeling about it?
It's hard. It's definitely sad. I mean, the Lifetime movie, I was in pre-production on, and then the first day we were supposed to shoot, everything shut down for COVID. So, I'm teaching a class now where students are filming, but it's very restricted. It's in their house, around their house, in outdoor locations around their house. And I mean, they've come up with some really beautiful things though, in a way. Some of the restrictions forces people to be more creative and not worry about gear and permits. For me, I've been just very focused on writing. I mean, I have a writing job, and then I'm also free, taking out a TV show. So I'm working on things, but I'm not filming anything at the moment, which I'm definitely anxious to get out and film something, but I'm just gonna be patient because I think it's just dangerous. I just don't want, to put anyone at risk. So,
as you were writing Awaken, did you initially want it to be a short film, or were you thinking maybe you could expand it into a feature film? Like, what was that process like writing the script for Awaken?
Yeah, Awaken was one of those rare pieces for me that is just a short. I do have like a TV concept that's very similar, and but very different. It's about, you know, what it's really about is the two sisters. Like in the movie, there's a lot of subtextual things that are happening, and one of them is that her and her sister are a little disconnected. And I have a show, and I have a feature version too of her and her sister having to come together to care for the mother and the disconnect that they feel. So and the way that they kind of mend their relationship in caring for their mom. So I've been working on that in this COVID time. And but yeah, it's been, the short was its own thing, but I do have a feature that kind of has similar ideas.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe you had another short film in mind to dive into more of the sisters, because you kind of give us like a little taste, but
Yeah.
you also leave us wondering like, well, what's happening here? Why are they not like so close, or you know, what's happening in their relationship? It kind of just leaves you wanting a little bit more.
Yeah, I would like to explore that further in a longer work, because I do think sometimes, you know, when a parent gets sick, the siblings are left to care, and the siblings just may not be on the same page, and things get difficult and they can get kind of stressful. So I think that's something I definitely want to explore.
I mentioned it's Awaken. It's a very serious film, you know. Um, but were there any moments while filming where you guys just couldn't keep it together and, you know, had a little fun?
I think we had fun throughout. I mean, Parminder and V are both just very delightful women to chat with, and the mood on set was very lighthearted and a lot of fun. And our producer too, she's got a really fun vibe. So I can't think of a moment like that comes to mind, but I do feel like the whole time we were all chatting and, you know, having fun as we made the film. And then magically the actors can get into serious mode when they need to. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was a good balance.
It really was. Yeah.
And what is the most important message for you that the audience takes away from the film?
Um, you know, I've been playing in festivals all year, all virtual, of course, and a lot of very interesting conversations around caregiving and around illness in the Asian American community, and how people are just not wanting to talk about the topics often. There's a huge stigma around getting an illness like Alzheimer's. I mean, I think if someone gets cancer, we can talk about it. With dementia, it's really hard when you have to deal with someone kind of losing their memories. And I think that's something that it has been, I'm really proud of, that has sparked a lot of conversation on the festival circuit. I think it's a topic that I've actually been on 2 or 3 panels that were all about Asian American illness and mental health in the Asian American community, and dementia in the Asian American community, and caregiving. And I've been really happy. A lot of people have been wanting to just talk about that issue. Like, that has been really, really cool. It's like, wow, a lot of people want to talk about this. A lot of people are going through things and they have no other place to turn to talk about it. So that has been really cool.
No, and you were able to like provide that little step forward in talking in sparking the conversation some more. So, I mean, kudos to you for being able to create a story that's so powerful that way. So the film, it deals with Alzheimer's, and you've dealt with it with your, I mean, you haven't dealt with like, oh, that can't, it sounds wrong when I'm saying it, but I mean, like, you have your experience with your mother-in-law. Did you bring on anyone on board to like help you research it some more, or just like a little consultant?
No, we didn't. The lead actress V, she actually did a lot of work, and ironically, she has a background as a doctor, so she's kind of like a trained. She was a professor of medicine. I mean, and she said she didn't deal with Alzheimer's, but she did do a lot of research. I know she watched a lot of clips and watched a lot of things too. And I had the reference of being around my mother-in-law, of what it feels like and what the emotion is. So no, I drew mostly from my own personal emotions and the research that V did, and yeah. So.
And what was it like filming those scenes where you know, her mom is like, she's not connecting anything, and it's just really heartbreaking to see. Um, were you able to feel those same emotions while filming? Like, were you reliving them?
Sure, yeah, especially writing on the page too. You really, it's like, how far do you want to go with this? It's like, where do you draw the line? It's hard. The writing part is hard. It's like, do I want to put this on the page? Do I want to acknowledge this as something that it could be or that is my reality? It's not always easy to do that. And I don't think a lot of people always want to talk about it. I don't think my husband wants to, but you just kind of, I think as an artist, that's just how I process things and how I really make sense of them a lot of times.
No, yeah, that makes, yeah. And how do you personally, how do you personally draw that line? Like, do you just know when to stop, or do you kind of just like create a chart and be like, well, not create a chart, but you know what I mean?
Well, it's hard. I mean, and I've always draw upon personal life a lot of times in my work. And, my last film was based on a very personal experience. It's called 20 Weeks, and it was about a couple that finds out their baby has a serious health condition in utero. It's a very difficult topic. And, I actually have my master's in documentary film, and I started out making docs, and for me, I realized that I just couldn't do it. Like, making documentaries is very hard, and I definitely commend the people who do it, because you do have to get really intimate and really personal and put real things on the screen. And for me, I think what I realized is, like, at least if I take a real life scenario, like that, and I've completely fictionalized it. I've made it like the character's not me, it's somebody with, and I've woven it in. I can bring a piece of myself, but I'm not putting myself out there, right? Like, and I made a couple of documentaries in my 20s when I had just finished school that were really, really tough. And I was kind of traumatized, to be honest, from making them. I felt tremendous anxiety. So I think as I've grown in my career, I've learned, like, oh, can put that piece of myself in it, but the fictionalization of it makes it much more doable.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount of vulnerability that we can all, you know, take on. And you can definitely tell you put yourself into this film.
Thank you.
But it's also like, you're also able to kind of, you know, see other people's experiences too, because you just never know what someone's dealing with. And even like her son, he has a very like small moment, but it's just like he wants to stay, but his mom is like, no, you can go ahead. But that's also another story, like seeing the grandson watch all this happen, and there's another script idea.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. The
Yeah.
way that the kids deal with it, that's a whole nother layer of just kind of, story, for sure.
And do you have any advice for aspiring filmmakers?
Just keep making stuff, I mean, you may not always have the budget that you want or the cast that you want, but you just have to try, on your phone with DSLRs, wherever you can. It's like, get a camera and try to just keep making stuff, because you'll get better and better and better. And as you get better and better, the bigger actors will come calling. So yeah, I'd say just keep creating stuff.
And do you have any specific advice for our women in film? Because I know it gets very, very touchy out there.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, it's very hard, but I just firmly believe that if you make the content that you feel proud of and that you feel connected to, that it'll find its way out into the world, that people will find it and will connect with it in some way that you never imagined. So I think that's important.
Definitely. And where can we follow you on social media if you have any?
Yeah, my Instagram is LEENAPEND.filmmaker. That's the best place to follow me. LEENAPEND.filmmaker. I don't use my Twitter account that much. I've been really lame about it. And Awaken does have a Facebook page. So if you go to Facebook and you go to Awaken Film, you'll find a Facebook page.
And are there going to be other short are there going to be other short film festivals that Awaken is going to be featured in after HollyShorts this week?
Maybe, but I think for the year, this is our last one. And then starting, in January, February, we may be in some other festivals and just kind of figuring out distribution where we're going to put the film. So yeah, we've done a lot in this last year. We've done like 15, 16 festivals. And so, yeah, just waiting for next steps.
What was that like, your film festival journey? Were you able to go to some in person before all of this happened?
No, not really. Our first one was scheduled for March, CineQuest, and I was like all slated to go. And then of course it was canceled. And all of these festivals have picked back up to be virtual. And at first I was a little bummed out because of course I want to see my film play in a theater, but I have to say the benefit of screening virtually is that more people can watch. And I have been able to go to some of these panels. It's tough, to always go to a festival and be there and be on at all the events, but it's nice that the virtual model there've been some benefits. So
the flexibility, you get the flexibility, but you miss the experience being there in person.
Yeah, exactly. The flexibility and the panels. I was really surprised at a few of these panels. I mean, like San Francisco Asian Film Festival Camp Fest, they did a panel where they had like 300 people attending, that was like, wow, this is amazing, because it was a Facebook Live event and they had a lot of people online while it was going. So just the amount of questions and the amount of engagement has been really amazing, I have to say.
Listeners, you already heard. So if you need to find out where to watch Awaken next after HollyShorts, make sure to go and like their Facebook page. And yeah, thank you so much, Leena, for coming on to talk to me for a little bit. I enjoyed it. I didn't want to give out too many spoilers for the film, but
yeah, I appreciate that.
but definitely make sure to go and check it out. It's very, very heartwarming, and it's something that needs to be talked about. And Leena did a great job at executing it. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. It's awesome.
I had an amazing time talking to Leena, and I hope you enjoyed listening in. Make sure to follow Awaken's Facebook page to stay updated on where you can watch the short film next. That's all for now. Thank you for listening in. Take it home for us, Leena.
Hi everyone, my name is LEENA PENDHARKAR and I'm the writer-director of the short film Awaken, and you're listening to JeanBookNerd.com. Thank you.